Get ready. Hold tight. It's
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want go!
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. Sheffield Wednesday, we're back in action once again on a Friday, once again ruining everybody's weekend because, you know, it wouldn't be Sheffield Wednesday without it. As we ebb further down the league and playoffs might seem way in the distance, we'll try and make sense of our home tie under the lights at Hillsborough against Sunderland AFC, also known as the Black Cats. I got corrected many a time on the internet last week because I kept putting a black cat emoji and everybody kept asking me, what have I done that for? Quick Google search will suit that out. You know what I mean? Have a look. Tonight joining me, I've got Ash, Stevie and Charlie, and I'm 65% alcohol. Good evening and welcome to the show. Ash, how was your weekend? All right, yeah?
Yeah, it was. It was. You know, it was all right, Daniel. Since I spent one of the lovely days with you. Friday night, Friday night. Less said about that, the better, which is a bit ironic for this show because that's what we're here for. Saturday, spent the day with some good-looking fellas and Sam Hutchinson. So it was all right, mate. And yesterday was just recovering and usual ironing and chore stuff. So yeah.
Ash will be man in the comments this evening, so if you do want to get involved, make sure you pop your comments via whatever medium you're watching, and we will cut to them at some point, try and keep the F's and B's, and mainly the C's, down to a minimum, because I can see everybody's sharpening their knives as we go, as it's already started already. Stevie, what about your weekend? All right, Doug?
Yeah, we're all right, mate. Thank you very much. Put to bed the disappointment of Sunderland on Friday and cracked on with the weekend. Spent some time watching the little and play basketball and got ready for this.
Isn't it weird though? Like on a Friday night, I think, oh God, weekend's got ruined early. It's done me head in. Weekend's gone. But for some reason, I can get over it by about dinner time Saturday. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm all right. Oh, free Saturday. What are we going to do about it? You know what I mean? It seems easier to palate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. I thoroughly enjoyed my beer on Saturday night and didn't stress about it, even though I spent the night with Manchester United and Sheffield United fans, because by the time they digested their results, mine was a distant memory.
Yeah, yours was the prior week, mate. It's gone. Chazarella, Chaz potatoes, Chaz beans. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. Not bad. Yeah, I agree. If you don't consider Friday part of the weekend, then basically football can't ruin your weekend. That's how I see it. So actually, it's like a whole 2 days off.
Undefeated in March.
Yeah, there you go.
Hold tight, the crew.
Champions.
Hold tight, the crew. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Sunderland this evening. We've got another couple of bits, and we've also got tonight's hot topic. That'll be happening in a bit, but don't forget, like I said, Ash is going to be man in the comments. Make sure you get involved, but let's get into it. Chaz, yes. Friday night, under the lights, the week before we played Burnley, didn't go to plan. Did you feel like we would fare better going into this game against Sunderland?
No. No, and I think I feel a bit like that now. Like my relentless optimism is just starting to wane a bit. But I think a lot of it's like every day it's like, oh, injury concern, oh, somebody's pulled the leg, oh, sickness. Everyone's sick as well as injured. I was like, where are we training? Like in the trenches, like people are just rotting away. Like it's crazy. What are we doing? What do we feed them? Like it's absolutely insane. They're all getting the same injuries as well. So again, there's some kind. They're all getting like calf and like muscle injuries.
It's almost as if that training in a car park somewhere ain't cutting the mustard.
Maybe the surface of the moon. Like I don't know, something's really off. So I thought, well, you start doing the maths and you start being like, at this point, like ball boys are gonna have to step in on the bench and stuff. So I was like, no. And once, of course, I heard that Smith wasn't very well. I was like, that's it, 5-0 loss. I mean, I have no interest in this. So yeah, I must admit I was feeling a bit pessimistic. Plus our home record is diabolical.
Yes, still no wins in 2025 since New Year's Day, since we beat Derby 4-2, which now seems like eons ago. I can't believe we're in March. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. It's ridiculous.
Does no win on New Year's Day count as 2025, Dan?
Isn't that what I meant? Did I say something wrong and you're pulling me up on it?
Yes,
on the internet?
Yes,
what did I say?
No win in 2025. And then he went, and then we won on New Year's Day.
I thought I said with the exception of, but given the way I type text messages, the salient piece of information, you know, that word that sews it all together, I am an effer for missing that out. You know what I mean?
I do apologise. I'm just being a grumpy sod tonight.
Oh, mate, it's Monday. We can all be grumpy and we're on the back of a loss. That's what's happening. Stevie, now we went into Sunderland. They were on the back of 2 losses before we went into this game. I thought we might at least steal a draw. I thought a draw wouldn't be the worst thing. You know what I mean? Was I being hopelessly optimistic?
No, I don't think you were. I'll do it.
Especially given the way the first half panned out as well. I thought, aye, chicken pie.
I think if you look at with hindsight, if you look at the stats and the overall performance metrics, if you like, we controlled the game. I genuinely do, and we'll get into it. And we're probably going to have a fair bit to sort of pad and fill over the next sort of 45 minutes or so. But what I would say is, I was about to say shameless plug for the preview show that you did with their guy last week. And I sat there thinking, we are not playing a team that is in great form. We're not playing a team that we need to be worried about necessarily. We knew based on the press, they had a couple of big players out, and listening to their fella talking sort of Thursday last week, he was saying, we're tired. We've got a lot of burnout in the team. We've got a lot of players that aren't necessarily firing at the minute. The lad up top is struggling a little bit. He talked about Job, didn't he? He talked about Rig, who was their big, their big sort of shining star, not playing, and he didn't start the game on Friday night. So going into it, I ended up sort of walking away from that feeling quite optimistic. I didn't think necessarily that we were in a situation where we were going to keep losing big games. And I know that sounds ridiculous because the Wednesday of it all, you're going to play a team above you, you're going to lose. That seems to be it at the moment. But I felt that eventually the tide is going to turn. We're going to turn a corner. All those cliches. We can't keep losing against the big sides. We're going to put in a performance and get a result. And I genuinely thought Friday night was going to be the night. To
quote Dan Fudge on Twitter in 2016, didn't happen. But we'll get into that. We will move right into that. Ashley Ladd, the lineup is as follows. Beadle Valentin Ihekwe, Maxlo Hatsusa getting his first start at Thrillsborough. Shea Charles, Ingleson, Patterson getting a start as well. Bannon, Gassama and Windass. Couple of big surprises on that one. Smash Beans.
I mean, can there be surprises with our injury record at the minute? Do you know what I mean? I think it could be a who is fit to play? Can you start? Get your boots type of thing. Because
did you take yours just in case?
Mate, mine haven't seen the light of day for donkey's years, mate. Mine. No, I think was it Valerie? I think they've come out with Valerie and Armstrong have got calves.
A bug.
Calf, calf issues. Yeah, Danny's made a comment about it in the last 48 hours. I think is that there was an issue with calves. I'm assuming the leg type and not the cow type. But you never know, do you? I don't know.
I love the idea of them like having a farm on their big football wages. They've got a farm just outside, but you're going, my baby cows are having an issue. I can't believe that.
State of the pitch, it could have been roaming on it though. No, I think from Hatsuse, is it hard to say? I think something like that. Is it? Yeah, I don't know. I'll keep going on and on, won't it? How you pronounce that? His cameo against Burnley, I think, and then with the injuries, I think he was probably nailed on for him to start. Pato getting a start as well, which surprising. But then with the thing of Smith being ill or injured or whatever it was, I think he limped out of his press duties, didn't he? I think he were ill, so it was always going to be thing. But yeah, I've said it many times, isn't it? Now we're we're invested in Danny Roll and what he's doing, and he's hamstrung with the injuries. So any team that he's putting out now is maybe going to be a surprise rather than I think before we could have probably named 8 out of the 11 or 9 out of the 11, where now it is getting a bit more whoever's fit type thing. So I had no issues with it. I know Pato has got his detractors, anything, but
Stevie.
Yeah, but yeah, he's obviously earned his spot because of all the injuries to others. But yeah, no, I had no issues with it, mate. To be honest,
to be fair, I don't think we can have an issue with it. I think that's just the best 11 that's available. If I'm honest, what we got there, we've got Hergel McGurgle coming in with right first time. Ash Hatsuse, I think it's Hatsuse, but Auntie Sue, and then
Say, yeah.
When they did announce it, it was like hard to say. I think someone said.
He said it really fast as well, and it was like, "Thank you, that's really
Joe Cram posted a video of him trying to pronounce his name, and it cleared that up. None. So I appreciate the effort. But while we're talking about him, Chaz, before I get into the match incidents, I felt, and I hate saying this about a new signing because I know that we're a really optimistic bunch, and when we get a new signing, we go, here, that insert new player's name looks great good, looks like a solid signing. I think we've said it about literally everybody. Yes, with the exception of Nigel Clough, who played that one game for us back in the late 90s when we got spanked 5-2 by Derby County. But apart from him, I think everybody who've gone, hey, he looks all right, him. However, first off, specifically, I thought that Hatsusa didn't put a foot wrong. I hate saying it about a new signing, but I actually felt like he did his job.
Yeah, it's signage-itis. It's like bench-itis, where every new signing is like, oh, this is the cure for the problem we've got. This player is on that's going to come in. But I thought he looked good. I thought he's pacey. He's accurate. And he'd already kind of impressed on his debut. So it was great to see him get a start. And he's looking really good. I think, I mean, I hate to sort of say it, but like potentially, like he's someone that could feed Ugbo. I don't know. Has that ship sailed? I hate to.
I do need to warn do need to warn the listeners, ladies and gents, that at 8 p.m. Charlie is consuming a Monster beverage, so she's off her head.
Just on how to say, what I was impressed with, say he's not played any, apart from the 20-odd minutes Burnley, any English football. He's come from Japan. I thought his way of reading the game, because there was something, he cut the ball out. The pace of the play, I thought it was really up, because it's for me, I thought it was. I'm not going to over the top and say it was an outstanding thing, but I thought he equipped himself really well. I agree. Without
setting the world on fire. Yeah, it's not like he's come in and had a mega debut. He just didn't fuck it up.
It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that pace and that drive, because sometimes, like, we can be quite sluggish and a bit too kind of, reserved at times. There's only really like Gassama that you see just like really sort of pelleting. So it's nice to see someone that's kind of, a bit of a threat there, kind of. Plus, he's gained us like thousands of new Japanese followers, which I think is so great. Like, I love that. Like, all the media, if any of the media's got his face on it, it like does numbers on Twitter. I just think it's great. He's so cute.
The Japanese are quite renowned for subscribing to things from their country, and turns out Hatsusa's no different. Stevie, let's get into the incidents now. There was an early shot from my end that was spilled by JB, and I felt like that one enraged the Dars a little bit. You know what I mean? And then the first one for Sheffield Wednesday, a cross came down the right-hand side from Paul Valentin, and I want to say Pato just headed over. Difficult to direct that goalwards, I thought.
Yeah, I'd agree. I did have a wonder sitting in the stand at the time when Beadle spilt it. It was that whole sort of hangover from the Coventry. I think there was a couple of other sort of situations that we've had in the previous game as well, where we were looking at it going, what's happening here? And I know that we've talked a lot about whether or not Beadle is the right person to be choice number one in terms of goalkeepers. But I just felt it was one of those things. He recovered quickly. These things happen. Unfortunately, it didn't cost us anything. I thought the chance was on replay, having gone back and looked at it again, was actually a better sort of effort by Patterson than it appeared on the night at the time.
I thought he did well to get to it.
He did. He adjusted his body quick and was quite unfortunate. I thought the cross and the build-up play to get to it was good. Paul does what Paul does. He sort of feigns and then extends another sort of 3-4 yards to give himself that quick burst to get his foot around the ball and whip it in. And it was a precursor to the goal, wasn't it? And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it was almost effectively the same sort of jump and technical nod of Pato. Yeah. He just worked better second time round, didn't it? Obviously, because we've scored. But I thought it was quite unlucky in the early knockings of the game to get.
But at this point, tails are up now. I'm thinking, hang on, we've turned up here. We're going for it. You know what I mean? And that's what we've been treated to under Danny Rollwood, that we've been playing this attacking football that we quite like. You know what I mean? That we kind of enjoy. I heard a statistic on the radio today, and we've spoken at depth on this show a lot about trying to go to 4 at the back and coming away from 5 at the back, or the 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs. Turns out there's only one team won the league with 5 at the back, or the 3 and the 2 wing backs, and that was when Chelsea did it under Conte. And turns out everybody else has played 4 at the back. So turns out you get more scoring opportunities by having more people at the front of the pitch, which is insane. Wow. I didn't even see that coming. Bloody hell. Ashley, next up was a corner. Ihekwe drawing a save out of their keeper. Another encouraging moment in that first half where I'm thinking, hang on a minute, we might get something here.
Yeah, I've noticed in the last few games in Equay is getting a bit more attack minded into it. We mentioned him last week, I think it was Stevie, wasn't it? Where he had that stab at the ball and it hit the outside of the post. Yeah. Where we've always been on set pieces and freak, all that sort of thing, being, we're not really attacking it with some of the half freak. Even on Friday night, some of the corners were abysmal. He does have a knack of getting his head on something or a foot on something, doesn't he? So it's it's a bit of a encouraging from a centre back, our only centre back, to be having a go on. But yeah, once again, I said it to the lad I sit with. Once again, you're looking at the game in the start and the first 20-25 minutes. And we were a much better team.
We were brilliant.
Again, a much better team. And same with Burnley and many times previous. It's just that getting from back to front is not too bad, not too shabby. We've played some lovely stuff. It's just that front area that we're either taking too many touches, we're just not completing, just having a shot and it's going over, or it's just a bit disjointed, and it's.
I don't know if worrying. You saw Biggie off Twitter. He retweeted one of the goals that Hibernian scored against Hearts. Sorry, and one of them's an absolute shit pink into the far beans on toast. And he retweeted it with saying, "Look, we're getting on the ball, we're getting into these positions, but that's what I want to see more of: having a dig, having a pop, having a goal." Because I just feel like there's a few times, especially that last 10 minutes of this game that we're talking about now, that we just didn't do that enough. Like, I know you don't want to waste it, and I know there's probably some nerd who's going to talk about shot conversion or some nonsense, but I just want to see the keeper tested, don't you?
Of course you do. We've got players that have done it. We've seen Bannon done it for the last 10 years, haven't we? And we've seen even Gassama's scored a couple from outside the box, and yeah, you do, especially like you've just said. We'll get into it, Dan, but about the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Chazza, having had early possession, having had a couple of stings on goal, it was inevitable what was going to happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's rinse repeat, isn't it? It's but controversial goal. But...
Hang on, I have a visual aid.
Thank you. Yes. So
now, hang on, Chaz. Let me before I pick up on that. There, Max Lowe missed his header. Let's not fart around the pool.
Very true.
I mean, we can sit there and talk about how much this was a handball, and it was. That is piss poor, but he's missed his header, hasn't he?
And also, look at all them red and white shirts. And look at all that grass.
I'd rather not.
Where, and it's obviously, if you're going to cheat, anyone can score. Oh, I didn't realize we were allowed to cheat. That's fine. But at the same time, who is marking anybody? Who is, it's just, it's still an absolute defensive nightmare. But it was inevitable because as soon as we play well and don't capitalize on it, you just know that the first chance they're going to score.
Do you still get concerned, though, when we're 1-0 down? Do you sit there thinking, it's all right, we'll score?
I do now, because I think there was definitely a time, particularly when we play away, that it was like, oh, good, because that means we're going to win 2-1. Now, I don't know, it's strange, and I think it must just knock the wind out of it, because we said this like really early on with Roll, that like if you're going to play high energy attacking football, you actually have a finite window in which to capitalize on that, because you will burn out quicker. Burnley being like the 0-0 merchants, we talk about that. They play a very measured game. They take their chances, but they don't take risks. So they kind of keep everything very measured. And that's fine. You can endure that, but it makes for a lot less kind of end-to-end exciting football. Whereas if you're going to go hell for leather, fine. But if you are not getting goals within the first 60 minutes, 40 minutes, then what? Then tracking back becomes lazy. Then defensive errors, start slipping in. And I just worry, especially when you see it come through on Twitter, and it's like, oh, another chance, oh, another miss, so close, goal.
Yeah,
Sunderland take the lead.
Ruining Friday night's out, isn't it? Just
totally
ruining
Friday nights. It was a handball. It shouldn't have stood, but also he shouldn't have been able to get where he got, if that makes sense. So yeah,
I agree. There was also another one, Stevie. Ash, I'm going to come to comments just after I've spoken to Stevie. But Stevie, there was another incident, and I've got a visual aid here. It was a corner gone in, and somebody giving it what can only be described as the Callum Patterson celebration and flicking the ball away. Now, the quality of the refereeing in this league, in this game specifically, is shambolic, isn't it?
That one, okay. That one I'm going to give a pass.
Okay.
But to the referee, the reason I'm going to say I'm going to give him a pass. I'm not saying it wasn't handball, and I'm not saying that I don't agree with it, and I'm not saying it was well, I am saying I don't agree with it. I'm not saying it was a poor decision. What I mean when I say I'm going to give him a pass is it's very difficult to see that in the moment with all that movement around him and all the traffic in there. That's a VAR moment in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets given in the Premier League with VAR if it's not given on the spot. No doubt about it. It's not a natural position. His hands above his head there. He's gone. His arms up. I can see the comment that's just gone up. Dunderbird said it's deliberate. I'll question whether it was deliberate or not. And I'm here to be controversial. Maybe. I think his arms up there. I don't think he's consciously gone right here. I'm going to put my hand up and I'm going to bat it away with my arm. He's just got his hand. He's got himself messed up in terms of technique of jumping. His hands there, and he's just misjudged everything. It is handball. Okay. When I say I'm going to give him a pass, what I mean is if the referee has not seen it in the moment of everything that's going round, it's one of those that historically and typically you'd expect him to go, I've missed that. You compare that with the one that we've just looked at, where the referee is in direct line and there's a movement of the arm, and there is a movement of the arm towards the ball. It's handball all day long and twice on Sundays.
That was almost a basketball dribble.
Yeah, the one that we're looking at there, I can to an extent understand if he's missed it in a crowd of people, because they're the ones that you kind of miss in a crowd of people in the days of prior to VAR being a thing that we're talking about. So I think the goal is worse than the penalty that we didn't get, because it can be quite difficult. And what that doesn't give me, and forgive me, I haven't had a look, I was there on the night, I don't see where the referee is there. So if he's missed it, is he looking straight at it, or is there a crowd of people in front of him? However, the second one, goal, definitely a handball. First one, handball as well. But I can understand why he might have missed it. And we need
I think you mean you can see why it's been missed.
Yes,
rather than
yes, that's what I meant. I'm not giving him a pass. I've misspoken.
Can I just say though, just on that really quick, what is frustrating is none of our players appealing for it. I know you can whinge to the ref all you like, but sometimes in that split second,
not one arm went
the
up.
reaction from the players to a handball must just influence like that nanosecond where he's like, did I see what I saw? Yeah. And none, it was like, and I thought, no, come on. Like that is, even if you don't get anything, your reaction should always be like, that's out of order. And I was a bit disappointed in that.
So just on that, Charlie, if and again, I can't speak for them, if I've said something that's been taken out of context there, if nobody's appealed for it and it appears like he's headed the ball, I'm not going to appeal for Bernard heading the ball. I'm not going to appeal for Ihekwe heading the ball. I'm not going to, if they think that's what's happened. And in the moment, it was very, very quick. And we've only gone back. I didn't know that there was a call for a penalty in that situation until sort of 10, 15 minutes after, when the phone started getting passed around. I didn't appeal for it because I didn't see it at the time. Okay, it's only when we've gone back at half time.
This is Stevie trying to get himself stop getting cancelled on the internet for saying something stupid on the internet. I've been doing that for 15 years.
Stupid.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I think the first one though is so obvious. I mean, like everyone's been going on about it, haven't they, on Sky? Like, oh, it's so obvious, so obvious. And I think the first one definitely is.
Go on, Ash.
We've had some comments about it. So
get on it.
Yeah. So Timothy Wymark is just point that Charlie's just made. Why aren't our players calling for it? It seems like they are, with a emoji. They are designed to these decisions. Other teams will be screaming like mad.
Yeah.
He's right. He is right.
None of the supporters appealed either.
Resignation.
Yeah. None of the supporters appealed either. Incident, which seems odd. And
are we resigned?
Ingleson had a word, but was waved away.
Well,
is that for the penalty? Is that for the penalty or the goal?
I would assume that is for.
But as we are talking about these poor refereeing decisions, before we get to the second half, we've got another couple of bits to get through. That's going to be tonight. Hot topic. Don't worry, you haven't crashed your car. If you are listening to this in the motor, that's going to be tonight's hot topic. We're going to be talking about whether we introduce VAR into the championship. Let's move on. Chaz, it was your man. It was Smudge 2.0, Timu Smudge, drawing it level.
Sweet Callum Pato.
Who I noticed has a six-pack, which I, for some reason, am very angry about.
People love to be like, oh, he's no football, he's a great big lump. Yeah, right, yeah. Oh, he's got a dad bod. Yeah.
There's six great big lumps.
Why not?
Could argue seven underneath that shirt.
Yeah. He really deserved it as well. I think he had a couple of chances sort of earlier on. Really nice work from Ingleson as well. It was great, just right place, and it was really nice. This sounds so obvious. Like I'm saying, it was really nice to see the ball in the back of our net, but it was really nice to see cross come in, man in right place, right time, head on ball down towards goal. You know, like when you're like like the basics. Like
it was Svante Ingleson dispossessed their fullback.
Yeah, it was great.
Cut inside and put this beauty of this like chipped little crossing. One that if I'd have been at the pitch would have going, what the bloody hell's that? That's the right load of shit. Get it drilled in. It goes on the mixing bowl. But no, absolute little dinky-doo Scotty cross for Pato to do what's quite a difficult technique to try and kind of place it over the keeper. I thought it was a lovely goal.
Really good goal, and I think it was well earned from a good play up as well. So often we've seen that good play to then lead to nothing, and it was exactly what was needed. Like I'm not entirely sure what minute it was, but it was quite early on, wasn't it, in the second half?
48.
Yeah. So really early on, which is exactly what you need when you've been 1-0 down, to come out the traps and just be like bosh 0-0. So yeah, it was great, and great for him as well. Like you just can't help but like him. Like he's just really, even if you don't rate him as a player, you can't help but like him. He's just really likable. So yeah.
That and the six-pack kind of helps as well. You know, now this newfound six-pack that he's got an arse you could rest a pint on like Kim Kardashian. But I tell you what, jacked he is, low-key jacked, which I'm very unhappy about.
Dan, what are you most unhappy about? The fact that he's got a six-pack or that he can grow a tash?
I'm unhappy about both things. Yeah. But there was a point at the beginning of this season when they were doing the pre-season games in Germany and stuff like that, and they were doing like a follow round with Pato, and he looked in incredible shape. Like he looked thin around the neck, but he still isn't built like a footballer. He's kind of looks like one, the same shape of his body is the same as those worms in Men in Black, but somehow that's just the shape of his body. He's actually low-key jacked up, and I'm very unhappy about it because I thought he was an overweight Scottish man that had too many iron brew bars. Listen, in the meantime, we're half an hour in as we career towards the commercial capitalist nightmare that is commerce. Some people are going to try and flog you some wares. And we're back. I'm going to have to make a note of that time because I never do. Stevie, Svanti drew a save after darting through, and then they scored again.
Yeah, and you know what? At the time, I was comfortable and turned to my mate and said, "You know what? We'll be all right here, and I do fancy us for winning." And then I've looked away, said something to somebody else. I think we conceded a goal, a free kick on the halfway line, and I've looked back on this and I'll mention it. But at the time, the only thing I saw was their fella sticking it in the back of the net. I didn't see any of the build-up at all because I was having a conversation with somebody else. But when you go back, it was. I think it was the second goal is a worse goal to concede than the first. And I know we've talked about Max Lowe.
I agree.
Missing his header, and we've talked about the handball. But if you watch the incident itself, there's a restart from a free kick where it's just the lad's put his hand on top of the ball, he's pinged it 5 yards, and then they've moved from left-hand side of the pitch to the right, and there must have been 7 Sheffield Wednesday players in that frame if you go back and look at it, and one of them moves. The only person that moved was Barry Bannon, and he was the only person that started tracking the ball, and you can see it.
Barry Bannon's pointing to the fullback to get low into position because there's a geezer stood on the far byline. As ridiculous as it sounds, it's actually Barry's man. Oh, is that it's actually Bannon's man that puts the cross in. And this is the ridiculous thing about it. Even though they scored from it, he had no business putting the cross in from where he was. Bannon didn't sense a danger. I don't think anybody sensed a danger, and he's hoofed it onto the edge of the 6-yard box. And easiest goal he'll ever score.
That's the thing, isn't it? And so when we're talking about the fact that it was Bannon that was the only person that moved, because it was so innocuous and everybody sort of expected them to have this real slow meandering build up to play. Nobody reacts other than Bannon, and it's only when it goes out to, I think his name's Hume, and he was a guy, again, shameless plug for your preview show, their fellow had idled him out and said, if we don't go up, we're going to lose this player, that player, and the other player. Bellingham was one, Rigg was another, and Hume. They were the 3 that they were saying will end up playing in the Premier League next season with or without Sunderland, he thought. He's ended up getting a ball in an area where you would not expect that cross to go where it goes. So, as a neutral, hats off to him to be able to deliver the ball in the way that he does. As a Wednesday fan, what the bloody hell is everybody else doing in terms of not being alert and switched on? It's Ehekwe that he runs off. And as the ball has gone out to him, Ehekwe actually turns and starts jogging backwards. And then the ball comes in and Ehekwe's got to adjust. And the first reaction that I saw from him was his arms are out like that, almost as if he's saying, well, Beadle needs to come and get that. But it's one of those things that, as frustrating as it is as a Wednesday night, if we were doing it the other way or we were watching it as a neutral, it's an absolute pinpoint in terms of the cross.
Yeah, we'd have gone, that's a right cross and a right finish.
So easy. And
okay, so
reacted.
On the back of that then, based on what you're saying about Ehekwe, could JB have done better?
I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. I think
he gets a big old hand on it.
And forgive me. So in terms of should he have saved it? I don't know. I don't hold too much. It's a header from 6 yards out where the cross is coming, and who's expecting that to happen? In terms of whether or not he should have come and claimed the ball, I'd say no. I think it was in that corridor of uncertainty. If you
I love that phrase. I love that phrase. Yeah. That and slide rule pass. I don't know why it's a slide rule. It makes no sense to me.
But I don't blame him. I asked a question last week when I was in your seat doing the bloody hosting, which I hated, by the way. Was Beadle at fault for any of the 4 goals? And no, I don't think he was against Burnley. I didn't hold him to account for the goals that we conceded on Friday night.
Now, Ash, I'm going to skip over you and go round to Charlie because I want to come back to you about the last 10 minutes. Chaz, in between there was a free kick, and I thought this was a lovely free kick, and I feel like it looked better on the telly than what it actually did once I saw the view from behind, because the free kick kind of goes in, and the angle that you normally see, what you'd call the, what's it called on FIFA, the view, the match of the day view, as it were. It looked like it was going in top bins, and then as it went to the back, it wasn't as in the corner as I thought it was, and I thought Beadle made that look like one for the cameras. Now, Ash and I have played a lot of football over the years in our early teens, and we used to love a save for the cameras. And I feel like that looked a lot better than what it actually needed to be, because I feel like he could have just gone cheers, but it looked great.
I think it's funny, isn't it? Because I like Beadle. He's a young lad. He's There's something about people pulling off those kind of saves that look, whether they're as grand as they need to be, when you then possibly fumble in the basics a little bit. I'm not necessarily saying he was at fault for sort of either of the goals, but it worries me sometimes that the worldy saves, or not necessarily this was a worldy save, but like the saves he pulls off are often extravagant, and the ones he concedes are often like fluffers, and I'm always a bit like, I don't know. I'm cooling on him a little bit. I don't feel safe with him between the sticks. I'm not going to say like, oh, he shouldn't be number one or anything like this. I feel like his confidence has took a battering, and I feel like I feel like goalkeepers have to be insane, and you have to believe you're the best goalkeeper in the world, even if you're not, because the second you start to feel a lack of confidence, that's game over. Like that.
I tell you what, for the first time in a number of weeks, clip that.
I'm sorry, James. He's so young. He's
going out, Chaz. It's going out.
I just worry a little bit. To be fair, looking at it sort of on the telly, as it were, it did look more of a sure thing than the second goal, if that makes sense. It looked like it easily could have been a fantastic. So maybe it was a fabulous save and a great big diving save, but he scared the crap out of me in the first half, where instead of just grabbing the ball, he sort of fumbled it, and and little things like that. And I just think, it's all very well being able to leap and do the shamu away, but then why the poppadoms in simpler goals, in simpler shots? I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel mean now.
This is where Holly would be screaming at you, going, he's only a kid. He's only 19. What's the matter with you? He's only a baby. Bloody hell.
I'm not a Beadle hater.
You are. I clip that. I'm gonna splash that all over the interwebs tomorrow. Ashley, let's get into some comments, and then I want to talk to you about the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Robert Shirley, every other team has a man stood over. He's on about the goal. Every other team has a man stood over the ball, stopping the quick free kick. If there was an XG for shithousery, we'd be bottom of the league.
I agree.
True.
Stu Williams, as I put in the LMS group, plug. Yeah, I like it. The bloke behind me said, we're a great team. It's just scoring and not conceding we're shit at. Insightful stuff in the North Stand. Thanos.
Just while we're on the point, don't forget you can still join in our last man standing
slick
last man standing competition going
Shameless plug.
The prizes have been like 500 odd quid, 600 odd quid. Just pick a result, don't pick the same team twice, and don't be rubbish at it like me and Charlie are. But we'll get to that towards the end.
You won the first one.
You win the first one.
I had to keep that. I was trying to keep that on the DL.
And we're embarrassed to do so. I can remember at the time when he went, I'm so ashamed. I can't believe it.
I took a right punt on Doncaster Rovers and they ended up winning.
Peacock Farrell comment, absolutely spot on.
Dunderbird has put in, reminds me of Bailey Peacock Farrell. Right, good, but sometimes what you're doing, mate, catch the chuff.
Fact, that is such a good comparison. Literally exactly the same.
Paul Faruga, I think the chapter on how to claim a ball has been omitted from the goalkeeper's handbook.
Those comments are absolutely personified by Matt Strickland saying, "Are we all the Dars now?" Yes, we are. We're all Wednesday Dars. Welcome to the team, Jazz. Right, Ashley, let's talk about that last 10 minutes. I thought it was tepid. And I feel like the only thing that we managed to pull off was a tame shot from the gas man.
It was tepid, but we should have done a hell of a lot more, I think. I think we were on top for most of it, but then we had the old pass round the box. Take a shot. No, you take a shot. No, you take a shot. No one takes a shot. Oh, the ball's up in our half now. I think you're 2-1 down at home, and with large percentage of the game overall that you've been the better team, even though yes, we're 2-1 down. So you would have thought you would go into the last 10 minutes with a bit of urgency, and even if. Well, I know it's easy for us to say because what we would have said is 90th minute, someone's took a shot from. You take a shot from 30 yards out, but we're doing the opposite now. I know we're doing the opposite now. Aren't we? We're saying why are people not shooting? Because you shoot from 20 yards out and the ball could go anywhere. Yes, it can go out for a corner, it could go out for, but it could also send the keeper the wrong way after being off someone's shin and in. So. I do want us to take more risks in that, and 2-1 down is probably at home is where you want to be doing it, and it's a bit disheartening, weren't it? Really, not to test the keeper really at all that last 10 minutes.
I'm gonna light a blue touch paper here, but I thought one of the issues that we had was Liam Palmer didn't move the ball quick enough. I'm not saying it was just him; he was one of the players that. We had a comment there saying we lost a bit of momentum when Patterson went off, and we kind of did, which is terrible to think about. The fact that we're missing a player like Callum Patterson for the last 10 minutes, but there was a number of players that didn't move the ball up the pitch quick enough. I think Paul Valentin's only got one trick in his locker. How he still manages to get crossing, carry on, son. You know what I mean? I find it nuts. I think Gassama holds onto the ball too much, and I feel like a lot of the defense didn't shift the ball quick. Get it up the pitch. We're in the last 5 minutes, and we had a decent amount of time added on, and we were playing like we had another 45. What I want to pull at the thread of is, have we been discouraged from doing that by the coaching, or is there an element of, I don't want to be the person that skies it into row Z in the last 5 minutes, because that's one of that's a chance that I've sent begging. What about you, Stevie? What do you think?
I'm not talking to you.
First.
Yeah.
He's got big arms. He's jacked up, by the way. Nothing like Callum Patterson, but fills that shirt out.
Get the stats up, mate.
I'll get the stats up. I've got the stats. I've got an infographic.
So we've got the stats. Forgive me, I can't see the expected goals, but I think we're probably.
It doesn't matter.
Just edging that. I know we'll say it doesn't matter. Ball possession, we have 58% of the ball against a team in the top four. We've had 9 to their 12 in terms of goal attempts. We've had as many shots on goal. We've had as many shots off, give or take. Big chances, same number. They've outdone us on corner kicks. There's another metric. The BBC use a metric where they count the amount of touches in the opposition box. And I had a look at that earlier on. We had 25 touches in the opponent's box to their 17. So I can't say that we're not building and we're not doing enough further down the pitch. And we've made this point. And again, I'm going to be the Liam Palmer sympathiser for the evening, just to be that sort of balance point. He's a very easy scapegoat. I'm not saying that he's the saviour, the answer, or anything else. My thoughts on the guy have been well documented for the last 3-4 years. However, he's an easy target. I don't think there are certain other players that are considered to be now more established first-team players that are going to play week in, week out. I don't think there were other players that were on the pitch on Friday night that did much better. We've talked.
I need to be careful. I don't think he put a foot wrong. I don't think in terms of the actual nuts and bolts of playing the football, he did anything wrong. I just wish that there was more intensity to his game. Him and a number of other players. Let's get it a bit quicker. The last 10 minutes, I was really disappointed with our intensity.
I've no strong feeling about what you're saying there one way or another. But my issue is we get into that final third, and when we get into that final third, as we've talked about on a number of occasions over the last few weeks, the problems that we're having, even though we've conceded a couple of soft goals, the problems that we're having by and large in terms of putting games to bed in these sort of situations, it ain't the back. It's the fact that we can't stick the ball in the back of the bloody net, or we're not taking opportunities to go and score. We've spent half an hour near enough talking about the fact that we're not having people taking shots or having having a go from distance or shots outside a goal or whatever it may be. Liam Palmer's not the problem. The midfield three there in that situation isn't necessarily the problem. The last 10 minutes, totally agree with you. If you watch the live commentaries, you go back and you look at the highlights. Once the second goal goes in, it dies a death. It falls off a cliff because nothing else happens. There's nothing that happened, you know. So in those sort of situations, what do we do? Hatsusi came off, Jamal Lowe came on, Sissoko came on. I've got concerns about him, by the way, and Marv came on.
I was going to pull at a thread at the Sissoko chat. I was going to go down the very easy route of going, they were losing with him in the team. Now we're losing. Now we've got him in the team, and now Plymouth are winning without him. It's an easy thing to make, but he's not played long enough for me to start talking about him in that type of capacity just yet.
No, I totally agree with you, and I've seen both arguments. I came out and I wouldn't say incandescent, but I was very
incandescent.
I was frustrated with the contributions that Sissoko had made, and then I saw it's S6 as you were. He's a faceless Twitter account who's a big Wednesday fan. Made the comment that he's actually only played about 25-30 minutes for us, and we're getting after him. And I get that point. I totally understand it. However, I just feel like he's flattering to deceive, and we've come in and we've made a deal. I'm not saying a big deal. We've made a deal out of the fact that we've brought this guy in and he's going to come and sort of bolster our attacking options with the things that he can do, and he's going to be a tricky winger, and he's going to be this, that, and the other. He looks physically, we've spent a lot of time talking about Patterson. This guy looks very, very lightweight, and looks can be deceiving. I understand that, but I don't look at him. When you look at the substitutions that Burnley made on Friday night, they were bringing on big units. Wherever it was in the pitch, they looked like athletes. They looked the part. We're bringing on Sissoko, and I get it. He might be a different kind of player, and you don't judge a book by its cover. However, I just felt he looks a little bit lightweight. And when we're talking top end championship, is he at that level? Perhaps he was at Plymouth for a reason.
I agree. However, I'm going to put a pin in that until he's played a few more minutes. So as it stands, we were 2-1 losers at home to Sunderland. The league table doesn't lie. Sunderland have got themselves a 12-point gap between the people that are chasing the fourth position. So it looks like fifth and sixth are up for grabs. With every other team up and down until 11th. I feel that Sheffield Wednesday are one win away from breaking into that pack, but I feel that pack is starting to pull away somewhat. I think we're looking at where we're probably going to finish at the end of the season. Charlie, what do you reckon? Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I didn't want to say it at the time when we were kind of hovering and when we even got up to like the lofty heights of 8th, because it feels defeatist, and you want to win every game, you want to do as well as you can. I got a bit of like, not flack on Twitter, it's a bit dramatic, but like a couple of comments on Twitter sort of suggesting that like, I don't think we have exceeded expectations. I think we did. Certainly my expectations we exceeded.
When we were 8th and two points shy. Yeah,
to even be in the conversation. Like, I know it's a whole different season, but very few teams are relegation fodder for nearly an entire season and then come back and go into the playoffs. I know the Championship is a big, weird league and everything's almost like a big shake-up, and teams that come down can plummet. You know, you can get your Lutons, Not everybody has, you know, the obvious season, but 13th is, you know, that was about right for my prediction at the beginning of the season. It's a shame in a way, because if it was the other way around, like if we had been lower and then started to creep up to 13th, you'd be like, oh, maybe the season's ending on a bit of it. But I think it does feel like we've started to fall down. It does feel a bit disappointing. The results aren't really there. I really don't think we should consider not getting playoffs to be some kind of failure this season. I really don't, because it was such a left field chance. Like, yes, we were in the conversation, but with like 6 other teams that mathematically, in theory, with a couple of wins could have got there. And would we have sustained it? Probably not, blah, blah, blah. What I will say is that 50 that seemed like, yeah, of course, 50 points. Now I'm like, yeah, I really want to see that 50 points. Like, just the format of last season, I'm like, we're probably not going to get into a conversation where we're worried about relegation. But feel like we've not maybe won the games I thought we were going to win. Like, I didn't have many expectations about Friday, but I had expectations of other games where the points haven't come. I really feel that on paper, we should already be at that 50 points.
Well, we should be, but we've got 1 win in the last 6. Stevie?
Scary.
Just on the playoff argument, and I'll be brief because I don't want to dominate the conversation. Middlesbrough lost 5 on the bounce, and that's why they've dropped from where they were to where they are. I just feel that there's still a volatility around. Our form is dogger at the moment.
It's been a tough start to the year for us, and I think we're something like 22nd in the form table or whatever metric you want to measure it with. Now, brace yourself, kids, because it's that time of the evening. Fingers in ears time. Hot topic. So this is where I reach out to you guys out in internet land, and we discuss the hot topic this week. Now, as you've seen, we've seen 2 blatant handballs in Sheffield Wednesday versus Sunderland, and I think it's already been signed off that we are getting a version of VAR in the Championship. Now, annoyingly, there is a VAR conversation dominating all over Sky Sports News, TalkSport, and all the other outlets. And I wanted to get to, because it's not a conversation that we normally get to have on this show, and we probably will be next week. Next season, I will probably need a new graphic for VAR chat, and then we put it in a pin, keep it to a 30-second chat, and let people skip through it if you're watching this back. Chaz, but what I want to know is where you guys sit on the VAR chat, and I want some concise comments. Ash is going to go through them at the end. Chaz, talk to me about the VAR.
Yeah, so it's always the thing you want when you've been cheated, and always the thing you wouldn't want when you've got away with a bit of something. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, I wouldn't say we get away with a fat lot. I can think of the Bannon handball where we were like, Rich VK, and maybe the odd offside goal, or maybe could have been. Generally, I think we often, and maybe everyone feels like this, but like we get shafted a lot by some really appalling refereeing decisions. So there's a lot of opportunity where you would have said VAR would have sorted that, VAR would have sorted that. I don't really know of any Prem fan, like a Prem team fan, who is like, love VAR, absolutely flawless. Thank God for VAR. Thank God for it.
Liverpool fans in 2020, I feel.
Generally, I would say, I mean, actually, the best use of it was at Wembley, if we're being quite honest. Like, it's somehow, but even then, you would look at that and you're like, if you're a Barnsley fan, what help did that give you? It didn't give either of the decisions your way, even though they were controversial. It's still ultimately something flawed. It's not tennis. It's not mathematical. It's not scientific enough to a point in football where it is like we consult the almighty VAR and it's 100% right, and we can use it to be a precise tool every single time. I don't know. I think overall I would rather not. I think it's just one more thing to shaft us. I just think it's one more thing to be unlucky with.
I think Stevie, Chaz picks a really good point there. Have we got the system right? Now, there's been a lot of chat over the last 10 years about what the handball rule is, for example. You know what I mean? People don't really know. Now, if you go to the KFB League in Holland, what they do, they have a margin of error. When they're laying the lines down on the pitch, it doesn't come down to a toe or an armpit or something to that, or a shoulder or something to that effect. If you're a toe past, if you sit in that margin of error, if the lines kind of merge, they give the striker the benefit of the doubt. And I actually quite like the way they use that. You know, do you feel like we've got the technologies there for it yet?
I think the technology's there, and I think the idea in principle, whether people agree with me or otherwise, is not a bad one. I just don't agree with how we enforce it. I don't agree with
the pantomime of the walking over to the screen, which I believe is going to be the version of the VAR that we're going to get in the Championship next season.
Yeah, I don't agree with the amount of time it takes out the game. It's a long-standing thing now that's been going for the last couple of years, where you'll have that euphoria of celebrating a goal that is then 90 seconds or 2 minutes later cancelled out. I think there needs to be, and I don't feel I'm equipped enough tonight to maybe sort of go, this is what we need, bang, bang, bang. But I think we take too much time. We need to figure out a time limit. I'm a proponent of having challenges potentially from a team captain on the pitch and look at it that way. It's here to stay. We've got it. It's coming. We just need to try and find and start to champion
the best version of it.
a way of using it in a better manner.
I agree with you. So let me give you a visual aid. So during the Qatar World Cup, you would have seen something similar to this, which is the semi-automated VAR, where the computer draws the plane and it can tell you within seconds whether it's offside or not. That's only for offside decisions. We're talking obviously fouls and handballs and things like that as well, but they take the time that they take, and that's what they are. Now, the interesting thing about the semi-automated system is that back when VAR 5-6 years ago was brought in, the British referees, the PGMOL, they decided they were going to push against the semi-automated because they still wanted the referee to make the decision on the pitch. And I feel that we're getting a poor quality of refereeing because we know that VAR is coming in, especially in the Premier League. Now, I feel like there isn't enough. You know, those old headmasters that used to be on the pitch, they go, I'm not taking any shit, no offsides on a Sunday, what's the matter here? The people that actually want to make decisions, people who don't mind standing up, puffing the chest out and going, no, not bad, that's a foul. I think we've lost them in the game. And I feel like we've lost those authoritative figures. No one was walking up to Pierluigi Collina and Uriah Rennie telling them that they got it wrong. You know what I mean? It just didn't happen. And I feel like we've lost that element to it, which is why we don't have the semi-automated VAR system. If we had something like that and a mix of what I mentioned earlier about the Dutch game, I feel that it's workable from that point. The pantomime of walking over to the Microsoft Surface Edge to go and check the results, and I find that I find it exactly that pantomime. Ashley, have the final say on it, and let's work in some comments.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like one of these subjects in football where for or against, everyone's going to have their opinions, whatever suits their football club, isn't it? So you imagine having VAR in a cup final and it goes your way, you're going to love it. Normal league games, yeah. What I don't like, and it's a bigger conversation, is VAR in some rounds of the cup. Now, what's all that about? So I know that's a totally different conversation, but that is one thing that really boils my piss, is that you can be at home at Man City, whoever you are, but you can be away at Grimsby Town and it's not. Do you know what I mean? And it's not fair. It should be all the rounds or none of the rounds, because all the teams can't have it, so it should be in none of the rounds of the cup.
Yeah.
Or having it for, is it the, did they have it for the playoffs? They had it for the playoffs, didn't they? Now, no, because you haven't had it all the league.
Yeah,
Ash, if you go further down the leagues as well, at some levels further down the pyramid, they have the sin bin, which is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever come across. And because football isn't the same across the board, that really frustrates me. I completely agree with you.
It is. It's what I understand, that it's not a simple game, but the rules are there, and all the rules should go from Premier League down. Rules is rules, yeah, right down to your Saturday afternoon pub league or whatever, isn't it?
We are the Dars, aren't we? Yeah. We are.
Well, that's for me, VAR. It's gonna give us content anyway, isn't it? When it comes in.
True.
So yeah. I'm up for it.
I get the opportunity to make a new segment, don't I guess.
There's been quite a few comments on it. If you'd like some. Joe Feeney, no VAR, it's a momentum killer. And I think we saw one at the weekend that took 8 minutes. Was it 8 minutes? One of the games? 8 minutes. That is just absolutely ridiculous. YouTube legend, Chef Cam, VAR, same clowns in the control room as on the pitch. It's a no from me. Mads Ward, no thank you. VAR is farcical and kills the excitement of the game. Thunderbird has said about rugby TMO. They've had it for a fair few years, haven't they? And I know it's a totally different game and thing, but I'm sure the principle of it would be same. Let's have a look. Adam Bishop's mentioned Luton away about VAR decisions. That'd be the Deschamps Bernard red card. Yeah. And then he said, "Will it improve the current standard of refs, though?"
I think it'll make them worse. I think it'll make them worse. Everybody's incensed about VAR. If you are still enraged by the top of VAR, put them in the comments below, and we, Ash and I, between us, do endeavour to get through all the comments. We've just had one put up there, for example, from Cy Hodgkin saying, "Knowing our luck, we'll get Sam Allison every game in charge of our VAR." If anybody searches his name into Twitter right now, you will see a beauty of a video of him getting smashed in the face with the ball during a corner. But karma in it, kids. Listen,
he misses the foul for a penalty, I believe, as well.
It's actually hilarious. It's actually hilarious. Stevie, we touched upon it before. That was the hot topic. Keep it in the comments, folks. Talk to me about last man standing.
Yeah, we're live. We've gone live this week. It's round 1 of Last Man Standing 6. As Dan pointed out earlier on, we raised £597 for the winner, which was Pete Lowman. I think we mentioned this last week. You still have time to join, even though the round is live. All you have to do is follow the details that you can see on the screen if you're watching YouTube or you're watching it on our live feeds on X and Facebook. I believe we're on this evening. The sort code underneath the £10 entry is all the information that you need. When you do that, if you put your mobile number in as a reference, we will add you to the WhatsApp group. There's been a couple of comments tonight from people like Stu, who's in there. They are absolutely salt of the earth people who it's a great community to sort of get involved with. We have loads and loads of fun watching it, and the banter that's flying about is brilliant. So it's not just the last man standing. You'll be part of like-minded idiots like us becoming something that you can sort of get involved with. We'd be more than happy to receive your money. The bigger the prize that you can, the bigger the prize pot that we can offer, the bigger the entry fees that we can offer, the more prize pot, the bigger the prize pot will be, and it will help us. Sorry, you're putting me off, Dan. It will help us. It will help us in terms of the community initiative that we are very, very proud of, and one of the things that we've looked at over the last sort of year, 18 months. The Easter egg drop is a prime example of that, and I know that that's going to be a nice segue to go into it. But we also offer other things. We've got the tickets that we offer, the shirts, the competitions, the raffles, all good things that we'd like to get you guys involved in. We're trying to grow that sort of last man standing community because it's fans of the podcast that become part of the community that we've created. Please, I know that some people might find it difficult to be able to, but if you have the means to come and get involved with us, please do so. We don't hammer you all the time with give us this, give us that. We don't ask for anything. We're not self-aggrandizing. We just want to create a Sheffield Wednesday community that people can get involved in.
Gambleaware.org. Ashley, it's your part of the evening. It's your big part of the year. Last year it was mega successful. Talk to me about ovulations.
Wow. What do I go with there? Yeah.
Get out of that one.
Yeah, last year, fantastic. To all you guys listening and anyone who donated an egg to our Easter egg drop, it's back for 2025. On the screen now, if you're watching this on the YouTube or Facebook or anything like that, it's Saturday the 5th of April, home against Hull, and then a week after, Saturday the 12th of April against Oxford. So they're the only two. We've only got 2 games this season, thanks to the stupid derby. So if you can, or if you can't, which I am in the process of doing, of making some little posters and stuff when I get my ass in gear. If you want to do some collections at work, put them up at work canteen, and you get some, I'm more than happy to come and collect them from you if you've got a few. And yes, please, any eggs would be fantastic. And for every person that donates an egg, I think, guys, we did say it's a £75 voucher. You could win. You could win. You get your name put into a little pot, and we might even get the wheel out. If any of you watched the draws before.
I love the wheel.
Not the crappy game show with that geezer I can't stand.
That geezer I can't stand.
And I can't even remember his name. But yeah, we'll put your name into a draw for £75 to spend at the club. So you can go wild in the aisles and get yourself probably a pen and a pencil case. £75. So there you are.
Or a 2021 away shirt.
2021 away shirt, £75. Hold tight, the crew. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much to Charlie, Stevie, and Ash. All that remains is me to say is make sure you bring us egg, make sure you get involved in our gambling, and see you later. Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. Bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.